The House Ethics Committee has released its final report into Matt Gaetz, the former Florida congressman and President-elect Trump's first pick for Attorney General. The committee says it found evidence that Gaetz paid a 17-year-old girl for sex and violated multiple Florida state laws. The panel also found evidence he used cocaine and ecstasy on multiple occasions while serving as a member of Congress. CNN's Caitlin Polantz has been digging through this report now that it's public. Caitlin, what are you finding?
Phil, that section about Matt Gaetz and sex with the underage girl, that captures a lot of what the committee was looking into here. Just some of the facts that they were able to find, not only through documented evidence, but also interviews with more than half a dozen witnesses, including the victim, the girl or the woman who was 17 years old heading into her senior year of high school at the time. She told the committee with testimony that she had sex with Matt Gaetz, then a sitting member of Congress, twice during a party in July of 2017, including at least once in the presence of other party attendees. She recalled receiving $400 in cash from Matt Gaetz, which she understood to be payment for sex, and she had just completed her junior year of high school. The committee also looked at several other relationships that Gaetz had with women, not underage women, women who were adults at the time, but many of them told the committee that they did have an understanding that Gaetz was reimbursing them in some way for sex. So that led the committee to find that the congressman, while he was in Congress, was engaged in commercial sex, that would be prostitution, giving money to women, also statutory rape, that is the allegations related to the underage girl, and then also illicit drug use. The way the committee phrases it at the top of this report is that they determined there is substantial evidence that Representative Gaetz violated House rules and other standards of conduct prohibiting prostitution, statutory rape, illicit drug use, impermissible gifts, special favors or privileges, and obstruction of Congress. This report is now out publicly. Matt Gaetz had run to the court system this morning to try and block the release of the report, but the House has posted it online, as well as some of the evidence that they've gathered. And he, both in court and then also on X, has been saying repeatedly that these allegations are false and reminding people he has not been charged with any crime.
That's Caitlin Polantz for us. And to Caitlin's final point there, Gaetz has vehemently denied the allegations. He's called his behavior, quote, embarrassing, but not criminal. This morning, he reacted on X saying, quote, giving funds to someone you are dating that they didn't ask for and that isn't charged for sex is now prostitution, question mark, exclamation point, question mark. There is a reason they did this to me in a Christmas Eve report, and not in a courtroom of any kind where I could present evidence and challenge witnesses. Joining me now, my excellent panel of reporters, Jasmine Wright of Notice, Semaphor's Dave Weigel, Hans Nichols of Axios, and Politico's Olivia Beavers. And Olivia, I want to start with you. You live in this world, and not necessarily the world described in the report, I don't think, but on Capitol Hill with Matt Gaetz over the course of the last several years. This is now public. Yes. What does this mean going forward, I guess?
Well, I think, one, we're all wondering what this means for his career moving forward. A lot of Republicans believe he was eyeing a gubernatorial run when Ron DeSantis' term limited out. He floated himself for Marco Rubio's Senate seat that he's expected to vacate if he's confirmed into the incoming Trump administration. A lot of the contours of this report we had heard rumors and allegations of, but to see them in print, they're pretty damning. They say they found substantial evidence of him sleeping with a 17-year-old, of him, going to these parties where women had been sort of recruited by one of his associates on seekingarrangements.com, where at the very least women were expected to be paid for companionship, but in other cases for sex. And so I think that you're seeing Gaetz already online trying to do some damage control. He's tweeting and trying to undermine what the committee found, and also just claimed that it was weaponized against him. Gaetz told me when I asked for his response this morning, these claims would be destroyed in court, which is why they were never made in any court against me. So I think you're just going to be seeing the beginning of this fight publicly.
And to that point, and you referenced something I wanted to play, which was, it was just yesterday at a Turning Point Action event down in Phoenix that Matt Gaetz was speaking, talked about his potential future, what he may be eyeing right now. He said this.
My fellow Floridians have asked me to eye the governor's mansion in Tallahassee. Maybe special counsel to go after the insider trading for my former colleagues in Congress. it seems I may not have had enough support in the United States Senate. Maybe I'll just run for Marco Rubio's vacant seat in the United States Senate and join some of those folks.
Dave Weigel, what is the future here? Because, and we will dig more into the details of the report, but in kind of Trump's era, of which we are now fully ensconced in for a second time, probably more so than the first, these types of allegations, these types of reports don't end someone's career like they may have 10 years ago.
No, you just said it. The context he's operating in is a Donald Trump loyalist who wants to abide by the same rules and lack of punishments that Donald Trump has abided by. The bar is very low for career-ending information if you are a Donald Trump loyalist. If you're not, it can be a little bit different. But if you are, you look at Hunter Biden, and when you saw Republicans referring to that pardon, or talking about that pardon, they often pointed to what it was going to do the next time some MAGA Republican was in trouble. They could say that there's one justice system for his are we to pretend there's a different justice system for us? And so, yes, it's not a problem for a lot of supporters of the president when they see somebody accused of behavior and not adjudicated, even if it is run through court, but if it's not adjudicated, they see the hand of the deep state, invisible, whether it exists or not. And that's why this is not. Now, does everyone else who wants those jobs in Florida appreciate this information coming out and think that they have a better chance of winning than they did yesterday? They do. But they've also been through scenarios where people accused of grievous things who are tied to Donald Trump, if he puts the hand on them and says that it's okay, a lot of Republican voters say, yes, that's right. I don't believe the allegations. I don't trust the FBI. I don't trust the DOJ. They're all corrupt.
You know, to that point, Jasmine, the Biden Justice Department did not bring charges against him, at least that we've seen. It seemed like that case was wrapped. The House Ethics Committee is a bipartisan panel, which works in secret, doesn't ever want things to be coming out publicly. They voted to release this report. And as part of this report, you know, where it says, you know, key fine is tens of thousands of dollars to women for sex and drugs on at least 20 occasions, includes paying a 17-year-old girl for sex in 2017. Gaetz violated Florida state laws, including the statutory rape law. I mean, a bipartisan group of members of Congress voted to release this information.
Not only just bipartisan, a group of his peers, people that he worked with, sure, people that may have not liked it as much, but people who they view him as one of them. He was at least a member of the House. I mean, I think, first of all, the story that this report tells is incredibly sad for these women. Yes, a lot of them say that they consented to it, but afterwards they had feelings of regret, feeling like they had been misled, the small amount of payments, being potentially drugged and other things like that. It's incredibly sad. But I was talking to somebody close to Trump, and they said this is the reason why he picked Matt Gaetz for the role, because he believes that the system has been, Trump believes that the system has been weaponized against him and wanted somebody who felt the same way and that would tear down the systems that he felt were being used against him. But the reality is that the DOJ did not bring this case. And in fact, according to the report, they actually didn't even work with the committee to corroborate or to give details of the things that they learned in this report. So it's actually not the DOJ in this case that is weaponizing it. And so I think that that is a clear distinction. But I think Dave is right. If Trump reads through this or doesn't read through it, but decides that these things are okay, then he's going to bless them. I was talking to somebody else yesterday who said, you know, maybe it's not that he runs for Rubio's seat, but maybe it's that he gets a role that doesn't need to be confirmed within the administration.
What about, you know, he resigned his seat.
Yeah.
He also won re-election.
He retains the right to go back, right?
Where does that stand?
Yeah.
I know I've talked to House folks who say not going to happen.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. But
a few days ago, he reserved the right to go back, and I would defer to sort of better congressional reporters who are more in constant touch and get statements from him. He's always reserved that right. And so when you said as former colleagues, you know, my line there is once in potential future colleagues, because January 3rd, he can come back and be a sitting United States member of Congress. To the broader question here of his political future, yes, these courts, the evidentiary standard's different, right? He would not, the Justice Department decided apparently that they didn't have a case against him. But he's not in a court of law right now. He's in the court of public opinion. Now, you got to bifurcate that and say he's in the Republican primary court of public opinion. And yes, he's getting some backing in the Republican ecosystem. It's still an open question to me on whether or not he gets a full-throated endorsement from President Trump in a primary and for either the governor's race or the open Marco Rubio seat. And I'm not going to make a prediction on that, but that's what it comes down to. And then the battle is joined, because we've seen some of Trump's endorsees, they don't always win. He doesn't have a magic wand to get everyone across the line, and this seems like a heavy lift.